Guys, it's a sad day for a couple of reasons. I found out just recently that we lost Carl Weathers, and a company that I absolutely love put out a knife that I really don't like. So let's turn this around and take a look at the first time this company's really disappointed me. Guys, even companies that we like can make knives that we're not a fan of. This is the QSP Grebe, and I am not really a fan of this knife. There's a lot of stuff going on with it. We're going to talk about some good stuff. There's a lot of stuff that, in my opinion, is bad, but, you know, your mileage may vary. Let's get this box out of the way. And we'll do some specs. We'll do some size comparison. We'll talk about some cool stuff. It's a striking knife, don't get me wrong, and it's well made. I will say that. So specs on this knife. You're looking at an S35 VN Tonto blade that is done really well. It's a really well ground Tonto. It does have the median ridge right in the middle where there's a high spot that marries up to your secondary point. It's done in a stone wash. Beautiful green carbon fiber. This is not carbon fiber that I really can appreciate, but it is done very well. It's beautifully done. The colors are striking. It is a button lock, so you're looking at an overall length of 7.25 inches. Blade length of 3 inches. It's running on bearings. It is a button lock, and it's coming in at 4 ounces, and it does have a reversible pocket clip that is really deep carry. I have to say that it's pretty comfortable in hand. So let's go ahead. We'll get some size comparisons out of the way. Your first knife is the Spyderco PM2, one of the better known knives in the knife industry. You can see tip to tail, this one's a good bit bigger. Your next knife, one of the best known knives in the knife industry, it is the Benchmade 940. They are just about the same tip to tail and length. And your final knife, as always, is the Christy Sebenza Large 21. And you can see it's a little bit smaller than that. So let's get this out of the way and we'll talk about the things that I found about this knife I did like, and then we'll get into the ugly. So there's some bad stuff about this knife. I'm not going to lie, but we'll talk about some good stuff. So this is super quality. All the QSP stuff, quality made. The carbon fiber on it is done beautifully. It is not dissimilar from a knife that I'm currently carrying a lot, which is the Jungle Wear fat carbon fiber that's on this WE OAO. But I find that this color combo and this pattern is not something I like as much, but it is very well done. Now, the action on this, it's pretty good. It's got a nice snappy detent for a button lock. Sometimes button locks are a little bit soft when it comes to detent. Once you get it open, you've got a really well done Tonto blade that comes down. It is really sharp. That's another thing. QSP knives have never let me down with sharpness. Now, this did not come from QSP, even though I have an affiliate link with QSP. They did not send this to me. This came from Jared over at Neves Knives. So it's not like the company hand-picked one for me. But like I said, the action on that, really snappy. You can hear it. Really good. No blade play at all. The lockup on it is nice and tight. There's no blade play, no wiggle, no loose pivot. QSP pivot on that is great. The button is placed in a really good location so that you don't really have to change position when you're unlocking it and locking it. And the flipper tab is a pretty well done flipper tab. Just really slams open for a button lock. Really surprised me. Internal weight reduction on this makes it a little bit lighter. And it gives it a pretty nice neutral balance up towards the pivot where it doesn't feel tail heavy, which is something I appreciate. You've got reversible pocket clip and a placeholder to keep gunk and stuff out of that. It's one of the things that I complain when companies don't do that. And it is nice to have that because it keeps the hole clean, it keeps that area clean. And if you do it right, it looks really nice. There are a couple companies that do it really well. The pocket clip on this is unique. It is a deep carry pocket clip, but it's not a bent clip like you see on a lot of knives. It is a very deep pocket clip that is a milled clip. So it is definitely interesting, and you've got access to the screws from there, and it's set down in. There is not much play on that. That's a very solid pocket clip, and in and out of pocket, it's got a really good retention. It does not move around. Just great. The jimping on it is fairly functional. I complain about jimping. If you're going to put jimping on it, I want it to be something that works. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that can be said about this knife that are pretty good. But in my opinion, they are outweighed by several other things. So right after you guys hear an ad from a sponsor, we're going to crack into the stuff that I'm not a fan of.
Acknowledge Doll Strong Knives for sponsoring this video. They are offering a broad selection of knives that will fit the needs of everyone, from the at-home foodie that just putters in the kitchen all the way up to the professional chef level kind of quality. They've got a broad selection of every type of knife you would need for any situation, from choppers all the way down to your fine detail paring knives and things like that. So go check them out. They offer some of the best looking knives as well. This is part of their Shogun series. This is an amazing knife. Go check them out. Support the channel. You know that your kitchen knives are the knives you're going to use the most. Why not get good ones? So now let's turn this around and get back to the video.
Now, with every video, like I say, these are my opinions. First of all, I don't like the pattern of the carbon fiber. It's done really well, but I don't know what it is about this specific carbon fiber pattern. I don't like the aesthetics of it. Now, it does come in multiple versions. So if you do like this knife, you can get it in different versions. This is just personally not the carbon fiber I would have picked. So that's just an aesthetic thing. Next thing. The pocket clip, for as good as it is in and out of pocket on this knife, it's too deep. It really is. I would absolutely have to put a lanyard on this, because that pocket clip sits so deep that I really didn't find it easy to get in and out of pocket. The next thing that really, really irritated me, and I don't know why I found it so irritating, that button stands up so high. It really does. It's in the way. Like when you want to try and do a pinch cut, it doesn't disengage. It's not like I'm saying like, oh, you're going to unlock the knife if you're holding it in a pinch grip. But I definitely, I find it in the way. It just drives me nuts. And I didn't carry this knife as much because of some of these issues. And that was a big one. Like when I would try to use it, I'm like, man, that's just obnoxiously tall. Even in the closed position, it stands up prouder than a lot of other button lock knives. Next thing, I don't like Tontos, really, Americanized Tontos. And then with all the other stuff together, I'm like, I just really didn't want to carry this knife. But on the Tonto, there is a spot where this choil needed to come out a good bit further. You can see that you're going to get two things. You're going to get into that with your stones. You're going to chip your stones. And two, it's already got a smile. It's from the factory, it's got a smile. That needed to come out to about here, or this plunge needed to be more aggressive and come back further. Next thing, that big old lanyard hole could easily be done with a post. But here's the big one. This was the absolute showstopper. You really have to, like, that hurt. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I have very, very, very tough thumbs. It hurts to use those thumb studs. They are almost unusable. That really did hurt. So there's no real way for most people, you're not going to be able to do that. I have really coarse hands. You're not going to be able to do that for 90% of the people. You're not going to be able to do that. Now, I think it's a combination of these thumb studs being too close, the handles being too thick, and the detent being so hard that just make it impossible. You really can't access those. In comparison, here's another knife that they make that is just incredible. And you see how they've lowered that area out there. No problems at all. And this has a fairly snappy detent. This is the QSP Kestrel that I carry a lot. Actually, Jared gave this to me, and I'm going to take, he offered for me to keep it, and I'm going to take him up on his offer. This is just an all-around knife that just have got too many things going on that I just can't recommend it. So is it a yup or a not? In this case, I think this is the first of the QSP knives that I would have to say I would take a pass. Like if somebody was like, hey man, do you want to keep that knife? I would absolutely say, no, I'm okay. I'll send it back. Like if Jared had offered to let me keep this knife, I'd have been like, no, you keep it. There's other stuff that I didn't really touch on because those were the big points, but just all in all, not a great knife for me. I think on top of everything, I think it's a little thicker than I want it to be. It didn't need to be that thick, even though I like a bulky knife for the way it feels in hand. On this knife, I think it's just a perfect storm of things that I don't like. So with all that being said, guys, let's turn this around, do some final thoughts, send you out about your day.
Guys, I think
it's not, I don't think that it's that bad of a knife, really. I mean, there's a lot of stuff about it that I just don't like. So, I mean, like I say, your mileage may vary. But I think I've had so many knives that just really hit the sweet spot come from QSP that when I have one I just am not a big fan of, it just makes it seem so much worse. You know what I mean? So, and to address this was not just a ploy. I absolutely loved Carl Weathers. He was one of my favorite actors in so many things. Action Jackson, one of my favorite movies of all time. Played Dylan in Predator, played Apollo Creed. He was in the new Mandalorian series. Just an amazing actor, in my opinion. And also, from what I understand, just an amazing person in general, from playing football to then getting into acting. Just awesome. So it wasn't just trying to capitalize on something. I'm pretty upset about it. So at any rate, guys, you know that there was a sponsor ad in the video. Not going to make this take a lot longer. We'll get through this quick. I have sponsor links down below. A couple of them have discounts. Bill and Coffee Brand Coffee, Temper Trail, 10% off when you use that link. I have got a coupon code of crazysharp, all one word, all lowercase, saves you 10% at Fair & Forge Knife Works, 10% at Rosecraft Blades, 10% at KATSU Knives, and 40% site-wide at Beyond EDC. I also have got links to most of the vendors down below, most of the major vendors and companies down below, including QSP and Vosteed and some others. I also have got a public Discord down below that you can take and go and join that community. I have an Amazon store. Take that, pin it to your browser, use it for any of the Amazon shopping you're going to do. Doesn't cost you anything extra at checkout. I also have a membership that you can check out. I do giveaways, exclusive content. There's a premium sharpening tutorial series and a private Discord for those guys. Guys, that's it on this one. I love you all. Keep it clean in the comments section, and I'll see you in the next video.